The Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Planted with Sarah Pion. I'm Sarah Pion, your host, and today we have Alfonso Tucky Blunt on the show, the CEO of Blunts & More, which is the very first equity-owned cannabis dispensary and consumption lounge. Tucky, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate your time, because anybody want to share time with me, I'm very appreciative. So thank you.
Oh, we've got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. But first off, the question I always like to ask all my guests, what was your first cannabis experience?
Experience in the sense of me smoking, or experience in the sense of being around cannabis?
It could be either.
Okay, so my first experience of being around cannabis that I can remember, and I had my mom and them had a picture to confirm it. I was I don't remember it like they remember it, but I've seen the picture. But I was about maybe almost 2, and I had two diaper bags in the car in the back seat with me. I was in my car seat. One diaper bag was my diaper bag. The other diaper bag was my parents' diaper bag. And I went in their bag looking for a bottle and dumped out all the weed.
Oh, no.
Yes. So they have pictures of that. So that was why I'm like, oh, shit. And then my first experience smoking weed, I was 13. I started smoking at 13, stopped for about 3 years, and started back full bore at 16.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was 13 the first time I tried to. I think it's a very curious age.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's about you. You're a teenager. You're not a kid anymore. So I can try stuff now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I know for me, if somebody told me not to do it, that was an open invitation.
To try. Yeah. Why I can't do it? Let me see. So yeah, I get that.
So your story, unlike we have a lot of people who have come into the space since both you and I have been involved. Like I've been, what? Oh gosh, it's 12 years now. So I was 215 days, but you were before me. You were involved in cannabis when there was substantial risk.
Yes.
And one of the stories that you were telling me the first time that we met was about where your dispensary is versus where your first big experience with the law was. Is that correct?
Literally. Yep.
Would you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Oh yeah. So, like you said, I've been selling cannabis in Oakland since I was 16, 44. In 2000, so from 1996 until 2005, I had no run-ins with the police. It was because of how I sold my cannabis. We'll get into it or whatever, but I sold my cannabis at work. I was never really on what we call a turf or a block, or I wasn't outside advertising to the police that I'm selling weed. I already knew it was illegal, so I had to figure out a way to get the money without being in trouble. I sold at work. 2005, one of the guys I was buying cannabis products from, so I always would buy from different vendors. I've always been a store. That's why when I opened, everybody was like, if anyone was going to do it, it was going to be you. So I always had multiple different flavors. I sold weed, cookies, just different options. And one of the guys I was buying my product from called the police on me, told the police about me selling weed and having a gun. And when he did that day, I mean, I didn't know who snitched on me, but I knew I got snitched on based on the conversation that the police had with me. I didn't ever think that would result in me owning a dispensary. You know what I mean? That was 2005. I just knew that I got arrested for selling weed, and that was what it was. I'm going to go back to doing what I normally do. The main reason I got caught up, though, was because I was selling weed on a turf at that moment. I was in between jobs. So I was bored at home, and it was like, man, I'm missing that little extra money. I'm going to go to the turf. I'm from a turf. Everyone knows I'm from the turf, but I don't sell on the turf. I just hang out. So I'm like, man, I'm finna come over here and start selling. Long story short, I had a good 6-8 month run, and then dude snitched on me. He seen, I guess I was making too much money, whatever. But fast forward with me hearing about the equity program in 2017. So we're talking about, what is that? 2005. So is that? I'm doing my math wrong. 2005 to 2017 is what? 12 years? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 12 years later, I end up hearing about the equity program, and through that process that I'm sure we'll get into, but I opened my store in 2018, and it was 13 blocks from where I got arrested in 2005.
Wow.
I didn't plan that. There was no, I tell everybody all the time that was the Heavenly Father. There's somebody watching me that I'm not knowing is watching me. That's my spirit guides and et cetera, et cetera. But me getting told on led to me opening the first dispensary by ex-felon for cannabis sales, 13 blocks from where I got arrested. The same zip code that was on my driver's license, my ID, everything, the same zip code I'm selling weed legally in. Well, up until last week. We'll get into that too. But yeah, crazy.
That's crazy. And it really is like it's in many ways it is a story of restorative justice. I mean, you're a fifth generation Oakland resident.
Mm-hmm.
When we
Mm-hmm.
look at like when I was on the legalization task force, when we start first having conversations about social equity and making it easier for people to enter the legal industry, one of the things that people were a little bit uncomfortable about talking about, which I thought was really strange, was the fact that these are entrepreneurs. I mean, it's
Yes.
there's just
Yes.
there's just a difference between whether you have a license or not to sell. And so why wouldn't it make sense? It makes perfect sense that it's unfortunate what happened to you. And it makes
Mm-hmm.
perfect sense that you would have the opportunity to be able to have your dispensary. And it's really almost poetic in a way that it was right by where you got
Mm-hmm.
busted.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, I didn't selling weed to me, I always approached as a business. I always approached it as a business. Every one of my clients was a bill that was taken care of in my house. You know what I'm saying? You paying my gas for the week. This client paying for this. So I always approached it as a business because I knew, and that's why I sold it at work. You get paid when I get paid. So you can't run. If you're gonna tell me, why'd you telling me? You're messing yourself off. It's gonna be my word against yours. So it was easy. It was like this is the way I need to sell. If I'm gonna do something illegal, I'm gonna do it at work. And I always approach it as a business. It was, I mean, I guess you could call it a hustle or a grind or whatever. That's just what the terms that people naturally give it. But I really, really, really approach selling weed, cannabis, whatever they want to call it, as a business. It was a way for me to, I could use my weed money to pay for all my bills in my house, pay my rent, pay everything, and then use my work money to kick it,
Yeah.
take, to go on trips and to buy my toys. But long as I'm selling weed, I know I got these things taken care of. And yeah, that's how I approached it. So yes, we are entrepreneurs. You know what I'm saying? We just, you're legal, I'm not. I wanted to be legal though. From the first day I heard about dispensaries in 1999, I wanted to open one. I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, wait, they're selling weed out of a store? That's what I'm trying to do. And lo and behold, it happened.
And how was that process for you? Because for people, for our listeners out there, getting a license in California is not easy. It's very expensive, and there's a lot of things that come into play. And being
Hmm.
that you were an entrepreneur and a business owner, so
Hmm.
you had a lot of the tools and skills to successfully run a business. But what were some of the things that you encountered when you were trying to get set up legally, or some things that surprised you, some challenges that you had around that?
So with me and having my own businesses, that's the key thing. They were my own businesses. I had never worked with partners before. So when I was younger, I had one of my homeboys. We was a partner on a music thing, but that don't really count. Like really, really having an actual partner where you sitting down, doing an operating agreement together and all that type of stuff. I never dealt with that before. So the business acumen that I had was limited. My partner at the time supposedly had a better business acumen on the cannabis side. So it's like what I learned in the streets and what I knew about certain stuff, I could use that. I'm in Oakland, and then you got this knowledge. So you be the GM. Let me go on the streets, do my thing, but then still teach me, the ropes. That's where the disconnect happened. The people I kept getting involved with didn't they it was a lick for them. A lick is kind of like what we call a robbery or a get over. They weren't in it for the same reasons I was in it. It was like a money grab for them. So going through those processes, that was like the biggest thing for me. Once we got the license, there was no money, there was no like grants, there was no loans, there was nothing. You had to go literally. Now our license was free because we were social equity, but you still had to go find somebody that was willing to let you borrow or have, I don't know, let's just say $1 million to $3 million to open a store. You got to build it out. You got to hire staff. You got to put the computer, the IT audit. That costs money. You have to find somebody to give you that money. How do you do that? You know what I'm saying? And then in most cases, the rent's 3 times higher than everywhere else because they know it's cannabis. They don't want to take the risk. It's so much involved with getting a license that you don't know going in. All you're hearing is we get a chance at ownership. But what does that really mean once you actually get the license? You know what I mean? How many people end up selling their ownership to other people because they just stressed out? They don't know what to do. We don't understand. So it was a lot. It was a lot. I thought I had a good partner going in, and we started off cool. And I'm thinking, all right, we're going to do good. We're going to do great. Let's work, teach. But I just noticed that everyone's not in it for the same reason. And it's kind of hard when you have a license and you're on a time limit to do things with the license. You're kind of like forced to jump into the water with the sharks because you're on a time limit. You got 90 days to find somebody willing to allow you to rent their building. What if you don't find it in 90 days?
Yeah.
You go down. You're off the list. Next person up. So you're kind of forced and rushed. I love the equity program. I appreciate what Oakland did. I say that all the time. But they put a lot of us in a hole that most of us didn't get out of. You know what I mean? Like it was, and it's not Oakland's fault per se. Like with most programs, you have to start a program, see what happens, and then fine tune it. It's time now for that fine tuning. You know what I mean? Because it's social equity has not panned out like it should be, in my opinion.
This episode is brought to you by Fat Nugs Magazine, a global perspective of cannabis and stoner culture as a bridge to the rest of the world. Right now, you can join Fat Nugs Magazine, Beard Bros Farms, Freedom Grow, and Jailed for Weed in the upcoming Prisoners Edition and help spotlight current and past cannabis prisoners and their stories, because no one should be in jail for a plant. Find Fat Nugs Magazine's beautiful print copies at your local dispensary, fatnugsmag.com, and on socials. Cannabis culture welcomes us all. Yeah, I can see where that would be. I mean, I don't think people realize how hard it is to be able to get the funding to do this. And a lot of times people are relying on, if you're getting funding from people you trust, a lot of times it's friends and family. And how much can you squeeze your community for support? And then when we are looking at cannabis, there are a lot of people who are coming in and they're seeing, who can I take advantage of? Who can they're not looking at also the long game and investing
At all.
No, and it's a
At
real
all.
crash course. And like, even if you think that you've got a good read on people, spend some
tell
time.
You from firsthand experience. Yes. Yeah. I mean, these people, the most recent people who got over on me, like they were part of the whole original. They were my landlord. They were also grew flower for me. But they were at my wedding. Like, how you come to my wedding and you stealing from me? You know what I mean? But that's part of the game. I'm going to introduce you to my family. I'm going to let you meet my kids. You're going to come to my house. I'm going to wine and dine you. But I'm stealing from you all the whole while doing it. I don't subscribe to that. That's not the kind of person I am. That's not how I do business. But going through those things with those two sets of partnership groups taught me a lot. So I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Like I could just, badmouth them. I'm not badmouthing them when I talk about them. I'm telling people what happened so they don't bump their heads. Now it's kind of hard to do because you have to trust people. There's only way you're going to have partnerships if you trust people. So you're going to have to trust people. But when you trust someone and they can actually fabricate books that you're looking at and they just, it's the depth that people are going through to deceive people in this space. Well, not just in this space. I'm assuming this is just business one-on-one. But it's crazy, and you don't know that until you're in it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, one of my main things is to try to have other people not go through the same thing I went through. Not saying don't trust nobody, but man, like I was on top of my books this second go around and still got screwed. The only way I ended up really, really, really finally getting control was firing them and actually doing the books. I'm not a bookkeeper. I'm not a CPA, but I knew how to add and subtract. I knew how to count. Get your ass in there and do it. And it showed me like, they not only can I prove they were stealing, they really was stealing. I could actually see if we were doing things the right way and had money out the gate and didn't have to borrow money, I'd have been in a better place. But being that we didn't have none of those foundational things coming out the gate, we was already like 10 steps behind.
Yeah.
You know, and then you add the compiling tax debt. You had a partner that stole money and went to open a dispensary somewhere else, didn't pay tax. You had the current partner who didn't pay vendors and then took the money and spent it on whatever else. You add in all that compound debt that I had nothing to do with or knew anything about. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? How do I operate every day to only open my doors to pay taxes and pay my staff? That's all I've done for 6 years. That's not, when I sell weed, I made money. I want to make money. You know what I'm saying? So I get it's a long play involved. Yes, but 6 years of not making any money, and it had nothing to do with me personally, yeah, that's not a way to run a business. It's not
No.
just, it's not, it's not.
No, it's not sustainable, and it's stressful. It's like when I talk to any of my friends who have plant touching businesses, I'm like, how do you sleep at night?
It's hard. It's hard. And then people don't realize, like, you get all the people. So the 19th of this month, I closed the location on 66 to relocate. My landlord, once I fired them, he told me he wasn't going to renew my lease. He doesn't have to renew my lease. He doesn't. But I've been there 6 years. You know what he just was being an asshole, if I can cuss. So he terminated my lease. So the city doesn't really have nowhere I can just pull up and open up a dispensary. So I had to close. Or do I stay open? You know, like, what am I supposed to do? So I miss having the storefront, but I'm shifting to delivery. And with delivery, I can cover all of California. With delivery, I'm only seeing right now currently, well, before we close, I was seeing maybe 80 to 100 people a day and maybe a $39 to a $49 ticket. That's basically $1.5 million a year. I spent $23,000 just on rent and security. So you do the math. There's no way I could survive in that structure. You know what I'm saying? With other debt that you have to pay. So I had to make the decision. I miss my staff. I hate that they had to lose jobs or whatever. Some people I've had been there 3-4 years, but I couldn't continue to only think about them. You know what I'm saying? I had to finally think about me, and delivery is the best move I could have made. And I'm ready to do it because I'm back to direct to consumer. So I'm kind of like back trapping again, but I have a event license too, a cannabis event license. So I can throw art shows, parties, whatever, and I can deliver to the event. So when people need weed, I'm right outside with the van. Here y'all go. So I found a way to still be a store without being a store. And I tell people all the time, like, getting in this space is cool. You want to plant touch is cool, but I would advise you to not plant touch coming in. I would advise you to do something ancillary to make your money to put toward the plant touching, because no one's making money off plant touch. I need everybody that's listening to go watch an interview on a podcast called No Vultures. He's interviewing Burner. Burner said something in that interview that I've been begging for him to say for a long time. He asked him, how much money does Cookies, the dispensary brand, make? Not the clothing, not the answer. How much do the dispensaries make? Burner went just like this. Zero. And everybody like, how you got all these brands? He's like, because it's plant touching. No one knows what 280E is, but they want to jump in plant touching. I don't understand. If you don't even know what that is, why do you want to jump in here? But they think, oh, I open a store, I'll get rich. Oh, I do a plant strain, I'll get rich. No, man. If you have at least $3 million to just throw away for 3 years and not make any of it back, and you got about 3 to 5 years to deal with that, come on in and plant touch. But if you don't have that kind of money or that kind of time, do something ancillary to make some money. Like this. These are lighters. These are Blunts and More branded lighters. Somebody had to print these. Somebody had to do the graphic design on these. Somebody had to. These are 3 different businesses in one lighter.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Just, it's so much people. I tell, it sounds repetitive, but I say all the time, whatever you do in your normal life, bring the cannabis. If you've never sold weed in your life, why the fuck would you want to come here to sell weed? You're doing a disservice to yourself and the space. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of people they're triggered by what they think they see. They see the long lines in front of stores on the day they open. That is all just for day one. Those customers barely come back. That's just for the show, just to get the pictures. But a lot of these people have never sold weed before. They don't know about building customers and having a customer base. And man, I can go on forever. So let me stop.
No, you're right on it though. I think there's a couple things that come into play. There's a lot of romanticism about what we do. And there's a lot of people who do not understand that the green rush has been over a long time. It hasn't
Long
been
time.
Yeah, it hasn't been since when part of my training was to train people for when the feds came in. And that's when things sold. That's when we were getting like $3,500, dollar pounds and things like that. But those days are gone. And you're right.
Gone.
I mean, the ancillary is where it's at. I mean, you see what Burner and Cookies are doing. Everybody knows that blue. It's a masterclass in branding. But it's insane. It's insane how little people make It's insane the lack of common sense that the government has around helping operators run their businesses when they understand it much better in other areas. There's nothing different about this than any other business.
No, and that's what pisses me off. Like I can go buy liquor and do this and do that, and don't got to jump through none of the hoops. And it's like, what is that's why it's D not re. They need to just deschedule. Like just deschedule it. We wouldn't have had these problems. Not reschedule because this is a plant. I need to be as free. Like this should be treated like corn, in my opinion. As long as it's regulated and tested right and done, the due processes are done. This is like corn. This is a farmed commodity. Like, why are we treating it any other different? Because y'all don't know how to tax it or don't know how to make money off of it. I said something else I say all the time that they don't understand. If y'all lowered the taxes, we can make way more money for y'all.
Absolutely.
Because if the taxes are lowered, the people are going to spend more money, which in turn gives you more what? Money. So, but they think we stupid. It's like, no, that's business. To me, that's business one-on-one. Like, perfect example. I'm going to start doing a delivery service. I don't have to charge as much for the products. I can still buy them for the same price I bought them when I was at the dispensary level. But my markup don't have to be as high. Why? Because I'm not paying overhead. I'm not paying for 3 armed guards. I'm not paying for a big space, rent, PG. So I can lower my price to the consumer. They're going to buy more. That means I'm going to sell more. That means I'm going to make more money. They don't get that. They don't get that. It's just like, sit me down, or not just me, these other people talk like me, but sit me down with these lawmakers. But this is something that people always be like, how does it go with each other? It all starts with the voting. Sarah, if we're not voting locally, we can't have these conversations with the people about what they need to do. Because by the time it gets to the president, it's too late. He's just administering the laws that are given to him from the legislative and the judicial. So if we're not voting the people that we want in office, and if we do vote them in and they don't do what they're supposed to do, we're in a democracy. We're supposed to be able to go and tell them, hey, you didn't do what you're supposed to do. You need to do that. But we're not doing that. So then we wait 4 years. Now we complain. It's too late to complain. And believe it or not, that has a lot to do with what's going on in the cannabis space right now. It's the voting on the local level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's something that I'm so glad you brought it up because I love talking about this. One of the biggest things too is that legislators are afraid to have the conversations because they don't understand how much of their constituency they're actually representing. Because when we got into legalization, and I was still working in a dispensary then, people would come in, they would cry, they would be upset because they couldn't afford what they needed, and they would say,
Yep.
You're greedy, the brands are greedy. And then I'd have to explain to them about, it was like, I always call this Stoner Civics 101. Like, let me tell you, how the sausage is made here. Okay.
Man.
And people have to come out of the closet and let their legislators know you have an outdated view of what a cannabis user is. I pay taxes, I contribute to society, I vote, and I use cannabis, and you need to represent me because I don't know what's going to happen in this next election, but I'll tell you, I would bet money that no one's going to talk about cannabis in the presidential election.
No. Nope. And because if they're not hearing it from the local, people that vote every 4 years scare me. Because and I got to think too, and we talked about I have 5 kids and 2 grandkids. My oldest kid is 25, will be 25 next month. My youngest is 16. None of them give a damn about voting unless we remind them because they're not taught it in schools. What's going on is on purpose.
Yes.
But people aren't, it's not there. I couldn't wait to turn 18 to vote because it was how it was instructed to us in school. Our kids didn't even get taught cursive. Like we had to teach our kids how to write cursive. Why? How do you not, you can't sign for nothing. But the things that were important back then, they're not teaching now on purpose, and people aren't seeing it because it's like, oh, I'm out of sight, out of mind. Every 4 years I vote. No, you guys got to understand. Kind of like with the city of Oakland and Greg Minor, Nancy Marcus. I yell at them all the time. But at the end of the day, they're only administrators. If you look at what administrator means, and by definition, they're administering things that are given to them to administer to other people. They don't make the decisions. The president is a paid administrator. He doesn't make any decisions. He has to go through the legislative and the judicial. And if those don't agree, then they do whatever they got to do. But we're missing a key step in the local area. And that's why we have no voice, because we haven't exercised our votes and our voice of being in a democracy in the local. It starts there. If we don't have a presence in the local, we can't complain about the federal.
No, no. And I mean, that's why we're in the scary times that we are now. And I really believe that also by design, all these things that are happening are to wear people out. So they feel hopeless and too tired to vote.
It's what's crazy is how they go together, and it's literally like it's the long play. This whole stuff with democracy and everything, cannabis is related because it's all about how much time can you hold on before you weed it out. In the 6 years I've been in the legal space, I've watched big money being spent from big companies just for them to fail. And then they had them same people that ran them failing companies go to BizCon and be keynote speakers. Like, it's crazy. Now, people can say, oh, Tucky, you closed. I closed to relocate. I didn't close because my business failed. I closed because I had to relocate and I had to remake some decisions. I still own my brand. I still own my IP. I still own my trademark. I just don't want to do blunts more at that location no more because I got put out.
Right.
That's a totally different thing than just, what else is going on in the space. But the direct correlation between our democracy or whatever we want to call it and cannabis is there's nowhere around how they go together 100%.
Yeah, they do.
100%. And it's killing us. It's killing us. Like I don't believe in an $80 eighth. Like, it hurt me to have to sell weed $80 for an eighth of weed. That is absurd. But when you have a storefront, you got this beautiful lounge, you got 8 employees, but I'm from a different era. I believe in, like, I have a brand called Simply Green. When I would sell my weed, I would always try to do buy one, get one half off. So I did them 4 grams. So you leave with 8 grams for like maybe $60. That's $30 an eighth. I thought that was fair. You can go to the street and get an eighth for like $15. I try to be as close to the street as possible. But at the same time, we have to make money. You can't really do that in California right now. You have to charge 50, 60, 70 for an eighth. And it's just like, it's not a good look. You got the farmer, no one's agreeing. No one's willing to come to the table and all sit together. Like, from seed to sale, we all need to be making money. No one should be making more than the other. We all should figure out a way for us to all, like how the liquor industry does it. The liquor industry gets together. All the big players in liquor, they get together and come up with, okay, you the middle brand, you the bottom brand, you the top brand. These are the prices. We need to do that in cannabis.
Yeah, we
need
do
to do that in cannabis. Like really just everybody sit down. Your weed is this grade. Your weed is this grade. These are the price structures. You can't go no higher, no lower in this structure, and we could all eat. But no one want to have that conversation.
No, it's I lovingly refer to it as the cage match for relevancy. It's just like I think if we could work together and have more conversations and really really have a community where we're advocating together, we would have amazing power. And it really, it breaks my heart to see all these amazing producers and brands leave the space or go back to the traditional market. And when the state is spending money, tax dollars, on enforcement when they could actually just fix the system and make it easier for people to participate, that's a huge disconnect. It's a huge disconnect.
It's so much money that they could make that they're missing out on because they like you said, they just don't want to listen. You got to have the conversations, but then conversations have to turn into actual actions. You know what I'm saying? So we got all the conversations in the world, but how do we get them in action? I've been working with the mayor of Oakland, the most recent mayor. A lot of people don't like her, but I can have a conversation with her. So if I could go talk to her, I'm going to go talk to her and I'm going to ask her certain things. And what I'm finding out is that a lot of these conversations are had, but the superiors aren't like taking the conversations any further. They're kind of just in the room. And then when they leave the room, if no one does it, or if you don't poke my back and say, hey, did you do it? It just won't happen. That has to stop. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people with old set ways, and sometimes you got to renew. You got to bring in newer ideas, or at least sit down and talk to me about the ideas so you can understand where I'm coming from. And then at least you can either say, I don't get it or I do get it. That's a lot of what's not happening either. It's kind of just like, we're setting our ways. We don't want to change. No, we can't do that. Everything changes. You know what I mean? Like, I also have to give props to from where we are in 2016 when it became legal to where we are now. We've come a long way. But you got to think, weed was hated on for hundreds and hundreds of years. You think we're going to get all the good stuff back within 8-9 years? It's not going to happen. So we have to be ready for the long haul. The stuff that I'm doing, the stuff that me and you are doing right now, I'm not going to see the ramifications of this. My kids might see the ramifications of what I'm doing right now, and I'm okay with that. But we got to find more people like that, because it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot in the space right now that I don't like. And like I said recently, who I was talking to, somebody I was talking to, and I was like, man, I think it was Exhibit. I said, for the first time in 27 years, 28 years, I don't want to sell weed anymore. This was about a month ago. I finally got my groove back doing delivery and, actually seeing a future in that. But yeah, I got to a point where I didn't want to sell weed anymore. It just wasn't fun. Like, I enjoy selling weed and getting people high and enjoying the camaraderie and the communion. I love that. But it's so bunk right now. And it's like, man, it's not even fun. You know what I mean? But I'm like, no, I can't let what others are doing in the space deter me from what my mission is. I'm supposed to sell weed forever. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Well, you're a study in nimbleness and the art of the pivot, which is like essential for what we're doing.
Literally, you have to be able to pivot. Like I said, when I caught my case, I got arrested on a Thursday. Started work that Monday morning. The dude knew I started work that Monday morning, but it didn't change nothing for me. I just was like, all right, I'm gonna go to work Monday. I'm back at a job now, so now I can back to sell weed to my coworkers. Give me about 2 weeks. I'll find out who's smoking, and within 2 weeks, that job. So I was on probation. When you're on probation, you can't work at probation. That's the job I got through Alameda County, was to work at the probation department, because I was trying to be a probation officer. You can't work at probation on probation. So they sent me to a place called the Self-Sufficiency Center, which is basically a welfare office. I worked at the front desk. When I got transferred there, yeah, it took my weed selling to a whole. I was already cool because I never wanted to be like the man. I just wanted to be a dude that sold weed. But when I went there, it was a wrap. I had 100 clients in one building, and there was 3 county buildings in that building. And I went through all 3 of the levels and worked at all 3 levels. So one level I had 100 clients. The next level I might have had like 50. The next level I might have another 50. So we're talking about 200 streams of income just coming from weed at my job. But then I detail cars, I throw parties, I sell weed treats. I always host events that bring other vendors in and allow them to sell whatever they sell. So I would get paid for that. I'm making 5 revenue streams off of one person at work. Why would I need to go outside and sell drugs on the corner? No, I'm cool. I'm cool. So that's why I try to tell everybody, like, no, like, I'm not knocking no one's hustle. But if you can sell something to people that you know when they get paid, that's the best thing going. That's the best. If I'm gonna tell you something about how to do it, run it up at work. Keep you a 9 to 5. Plus, it keeps you clean. If the police ever do come knocking, I was at work 9 to 5. I wasn't out here on the corner. But
You're not lying.
Everyone not thinking like that. You know what I'm saying? That I always had an alibi because I only made my money at work. And if I sold weed to you outside of work, you had to know me. You know what I'm saying? So it was I thought I had a $1 million plan, and it worked out pretty goddamn good. I can't complain.
When it's relationship building, I mean, people don't realize how personal weed is. Like, it's
Yes.
you
Yes.
have your guy or your place you go. You know what you like. You know what you want your experience to be. And if anything is different from that, it's not going to be as satisfying. And it doesn't matter necessarily that the person or the place that you get it from is more expensive than somewhere else. It's about the
Exactly.
relationship and how it makes you feel.
100%. 100%. And I'm the kind of person, that's something else. I'm probably never really like a corner person. I like the experience of pulling up with 3, 4, 5 flavors, telling you about each one, telling you how they affected me, even though it's going to affect you different, because we all got different cannabinoid systems, something I didn't know about till I got the legal space. But I want to make an experience. I want you to sit down, get the weed, smoke some of the weed that you just bought with me, because you want to test it now. You're like, I want to smoke some. You want to try some? Sure, I'm not going to turn it down. And so I want to create that experience. The way I sell weed isn't meant for outside. Outside is, here you go, give your money, go about your business. That's not how I sell weed. I want to create experience. Oh, you got weed cookies too? Yes, I do. All right, let me get some cookies. So now you done bought some weed, you done got some weed cookies. This is a whole transactional event at your house. You know what I'm saying? This is not like a corner thing. That's not how I want to sell weed. I've seen too many of my people go to jail that way. You know what I'm saying? I've seen families split up because people happen to be outside. But it was like, nah, y'all, if y'all can get a job, and I mean, if you got dope fiends that work at your job or alcoholics that work at whatever, whoever it is you work with, sell your product there. You know what I mean? At least you have somewhat, you're making money and you're making money. But if you're on the corner, you making money and now you're a target. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only reason I got robbed, the 2 times I got robbed was because I was selling on the turf. And I got robbed at my stores. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm Blunts and More. You can see me, you can pull up. But in all my years of doing my thing, I wasn't robbed because you didn't know I sold weed unless I wanted you to know. You know what I mean? So it's just when I say I approach this really as a business, I really, really did. And I still do. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's I don't know. I'm finally got my groove back. I put it like that.
I'm glad.
For the last couple of months, it's been because I've been so scared about closing Blunts and More. Like, man, if I close Blunts and More, what's this with? I'm like, wait a minute, I'm just closing that location. I'm not closing the brand. And I have a brand, like you said, people know the blue, people know that orange, people know Blunts and More. So it's like, man, why don't you just take this show on the road?
Yeah. No, my husband wears a shirt, or he loves it. He
you know
loves
what I mean?
it.
So it's just, I've been a brand for so long, but I've been a brand just amongst my cult followers. You know what I'm saying? Like, people who, like, I still have people that buy weed from me since I was 16. They still buy weed from me now. So it's like they gonna, whatever brand I push out, they're gonna mess with. Like my Simply Green weed, I brought that up as a joke. I wanted to see if I could put good weed in a bag and people buy it, no matter what the flavor is. As long as they see that bag, they know it's gonna be good weed. That's all Simply Green is. I change the flavors every time, but you know whatever you get in there is gonna be good, and you're gonna get 8 grams for $60. That's just the street in me. It's like a giveaway. Like when I had weed on the streets, everybody in Oakland was a weed man. So how do you differentiate yourself from everybody else? I'll be a little cheaper than everybody else, and I have bigger bags than everybody else. That was my way of getting over. And I would always do giveaways. If you were somebody who bought a lot of weed from me, say you bought an eighth from me, and then you came back the next day and bought an eighth, I'll throw you in 2 bags just for saying thank you. Or I'll give you a cookie. People are like, what you doing? Just thank you. That's marketing. Believe it or not, that's advertising. Yeah. Believe it or not. And it's free. So whenever I would buy my weed, I would buy extra for a giveaway. I would buy extra cookies for a giveaway. And I would have that. That was my marketing dollars. It wasn't like I was losing, because this is set aside specifically to bring you back. And I still had that same approach on the legal side. And I believe that's a lot of what's missing too. Everyone in this space is so, money. What about building loyalty? What about building brand recognition? You know what I'm saying? That's why I love what Burner is doing. However you want to say it, whatever. Man, he's a genius when it comes to that. And the only reason why I know that shit works is because I'm doing the same thing and been doing it since I was a kid. Like, having graphic design, I've had a graphic designer on my payroll since I was 17. Because I'm not good at art, but I know how to put stuff together. And I know how to tell you how I want it, and you make it. Like, all these are my designs. I just told my designer, hey, you do this. Just like been doing it. So I understand the value in it. A lot of people in this space don't get it. They're literally here to get money overnight and go about their business, and it's not going to work.
Are you looking for a lasting, meaningful way to connect with your audience and highlight your brand? Well, listen up, because Planted with Sarah Payan is taking on new sponsors. Here's a powerful stat. 20% of listeners are more likely to support brands they hear about on a trusted podcast. And 60% actually look up that product after hearing about it. That's the power of podcasting. Planted with Sarah Payan has a unique draw. With remarkable guests, we attract and engage audience that spans all sides of the cannabis spectrum. Picture your message reaching these listeners time and again. Podcast ads are evergreen, meaning your brand stays relevant as new audiences discover and binge past episodes. It's a long-term investment that keeps on giving. If you're looking for a targeted, passionate audience with lasting impact, the right listeners are here waiting to meet your brand. Visit plantedwithsarah.com to get a copy of our sponsorship deck today.
No, it doesn't show the love. And I think that's the hardest thing when you're trying to make things go, and you're here because you love the work. Because just listening to you talk, it's like you can tell how passionate you are about your work and how much you love selling weed. And that shows. That's what people want. That's when you show that you care. I mean, when I saw the MedMens of the world coming out, I was like, oh God, here we go. We're losing our soul.
Yep, I remember that. I remember I was right in San Diego. I went to a Med Me and I was like, this is too much. Even when I first opened Blunts and More, I thought our store was too big. I remember going in dispensaries when it was a door, a guard, and a fucking window. They pull the window. What do you want? They go to menu. Here you go. So I get it. You make them nice. You make them, I like the Apple store looking. I get it. But man, we just want to get some weed and be safe. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do we mix the two? How do we, combine them? I love the big stores. I don't want to, like, talk bad about it, but it just seems like it's too much. You know what I mean? And they're getting too big and I don't know. It's just I don't think the customer base is warranted for those type of size stores. You know what I'm saying? If you're not seeing 300 to 400 people a day, why do you have a store that big? You know what I mean? So it's just those kind of things I've noticed just with me being in the space this long. But I don't know. It's like people ain't paying attention to everything. They're just kind of like, I don't know, just doing whatever. And I don't want to do whatever. I want to make generational wealth. That's the point of doing this. Like I could still be selling weed on the streets, no problem. And no one would know. Like all these people that I've been meeting would know. So I am happy that I have been able to do that because it's allowed me to speak to different people, meet different people, all of that. But I can sell weed on the streets just fine and still be cool. But if I'm gonna be here and not make no money, that makes no sense. Like I don't want only people that's made money since Blunts and More been open has been my staff and the tax man.
Yeah.
And the vendor, you know what I'm saying? I mean, some of the vendors, because the most recent stint, they weren't paying the vendors. But basically, I haven't made it a dime. And that's cool because you're supposed to go about 5 years without making a dime. But I believe I could have made money out the gate had things been set up differently with the program. If there was $250,000 available for me when I first got my license, that would have been a game changer. You understand what I'm saying? And it would have been a grant and I wouldn't have to pay it back. No loan. Game changer. 100%. I didn't have that. None of us had that. You know what I'm saying? So
No, there was nothing like that. What was the technical support like when you were setting up? Did you get any assistance that way?
So they had a group, the Knox firm, and the Knoxes were cool, good humans, good black people, but they had no cannabis knowledge at all. They were just regular attorneys. And how are you expecting them to teach us about the cannabis space, and they don't do anything in the cannabis space? I've had great conversations with them, but what can they really do? So recently that they've been they're still like free attorneys for the city if you ever need them, but the technical assistance now comes from Oaksterdam, and not like a kudos or whatever to them, but I went to Oaksterdam, graduated from there in 2007, and I think they'll be a better technical assisting than the attorneys that don't know anything about cannabis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's like, we didn't have no technical assistant. We literally had to go, matter of fact, so the technical assistant that the city provided through the Knoxdem had people that were coming to them saying they had properties available for people to rent. We went and looked at or sat down with them for 4 properties. 3 of those properties had liens on them. So they hadn't even vetted the people that they were sitting in front of us to look at properties that they hadn't done their vetting process because they just got through into the fire. All they submitted an RFP, they got the contract. People don't know, but that's what you do when you want to get a contract with a city or a county or a government. You submit an RFP. It's I know the initials because I used to do them all the time. I'm heck of mad, but I'll think about it. But it's basically like 5 different, 6 different businesses put up their credentials to say, hey, we can handle this project for you guys. They pick them. They picked them, but they weren't cannabis attorneys. How are they going to be able to help us? They don't know weed.
Yeah.
Never smoked it, never grew it, nothing. And they're going to teach us and help us through the legal spaces on weed. Legal spaces in weed is different than legal spaces in like regular law. So how are they going to help us if they never had that experience? So again, the city, needed to reel some stuff in. They hired a new technical assistant, and now the Knox people are just there for like general consultations, but it's known that they don't know weed. So if you just need to talk to them about general consultation, cool. But they had a program, it just needed fine tuning.
Yeah, I think there needs to be more outreach and connection between the nonprofits because I love talking to Miss Angela at Success Centers. I think that they've been doing some great stuff.
Yes, shout out to Miss Angela. I know who that is, definitely.
Yeah,
100%.
she's wonderful. And we were having conversations about support and things like that. And before I was in cannabis, because I got into cannabis after I had cancer. And before
Okay.
that, I worked in nonprofits and civil rights. And for many years, I worked for an organization called Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights of the San Francisco Bay Area. And when Miss Angela and I were talking, I was like, wait a minute. LCCR had a program called Legal Services for Entrepreneurs, where they would get attorneys from all the big firms doing pro bono work. And they helped a lot of our local businesses that we both know set up. Like even like Bake Sale Betty was one of the clients. And I
Okay.
thought, now that we're getting into legalization in California, I wonder if they would touch cannabis. So I gave them a call, and what I found was that there were actually attorneys in the big firms that had cannabis experience that were actively asking them, do you have any entrepreneurs that are coming on board wanting to open a cannabis business that we can help? And so I was able to connect them, and I'm not sure how it went, but like there are people
Mm-hmm.
out there
Mm-hmm.
that want to help and they don't know where to go to funnel the pro bono work. And so I think like we need to have more conversations about that, because the stigma, it's still there, but it's not
100%.
as strong. There are more people that are like, I'm helping these big companies do these things. I want to be able to help local companies, local people, help create that generational wealth and those strong
Yes, ma'am.
foundations, and it's maddening that we have these disconnects.
But that's humans. So that's
Yeah.
why I try to take it in stride and be like, if I get 1 out of 10 people to hear what I'm saying, I take that 1 out of 10, because that 1 out of 10 gonna lead to another 1 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? So
You find your
that's how I try to
people.
look at it, because I'm not gonna be able to get everybody all the time. So if I can just get one, that's cool. I mean, one connection. I said all the time too. Weed has connected me to everybody. 99% of the people I've ever met in my life has been because of cannabis, somehow, some way. Like all my good friends through weed. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't, like literally, like there's certain people I would never thought in a million years I would have met. Like I've been a celebrity weed man for a while. I've been, hooking up with celebrities, selling them weed or whatever through connections. But to meet certain people like Scarface, never would thought I'd meet him and be friends. Like Scarface, the rapper, is my partner. He calls me, checks on my wife. Whenever we come into town, we kick it. His son, like, wait a minute, this is Scarface. This what? You're my friend? Like, but it's all through weed. It's all through weed. And weed is like a common denominator with all my relationships, because it's an equal playing field for everybody. You're not a celebrity. I'm not a celebrity. We just smoking. You know what I'm saying? We just enjoying the cannabis. So it's like it puts everyone on a level playing field. You just want some weed. You know what I mean? So it's just, I appreciate what it's done for me. That's why I say I'm glad I got my groove back, because I was for a minute like, man, fuck all this shit. I don't want to do it no more. But I have a bigger calling. I have to go through these things so I'll be able to warn people and tell them about what's going on and show them the highs and the lows. You know what I'm saying? Some people look at, oh, you closed Blunt some more. Oh, you took a step back. No, I didn't. This was the best decision I could have made, because I still own everything, you guys. I'm not, the brand is still there. I just left that location. I have a whole mobile unit thing I'm working on. I can meet you wherever you at. And then if I have an event in your area, say someone in Santa Rosa wants to have an event, cannabis event, art show. I go up there. You got 200-300 people for the event. I'm delivering to everybody for the event. Or I have the event, I have vendors come. You want different vendors? They can come. Now they're paying me to be at the event. So I'm not tripping. I am very happy to not have a target on my back. Blunts and More was a target. Retail spaces are targets. I got hit 5 times in 6 years. Why? Because people know that weed is there. With my delivery, I'm in an office space. You don't know what I'm doing there. There's no sales. The only way you're gonna know that we're even there is the delivery drivers. I mean, the people that drop off the inventory. So if you snitching, that's gonna mess up your company. You know what I'm saying? So no one's gonna know. I'm not gonna get robbed 5 times in 6 years. You understand what I'm saying? It's unless you following us, but I'm back on the streets now. I'm in my rear view mirrors. You're not gonna follow me. That's not happening. I've never been followed home in 44 years of living. It's not happening. You know what I'm saying? The only way you're gonna pull up on my shit is if you've been here before and you know me. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm happy to not have that target on my back. I'm glad the DCC stopped putting our addresses everywhere, but people don't get that. Like, I loved having a retail space for people to be able to come and consume private space. You've seen the lounge, private. You can't see in, you can't see out. You got your own space. You chilling. I love being able to provide that space for people. But at the same time, having a big ass orange target on your back that people just 24 hours a day, they know the police ain't coming right away. They know they can break in, cause you damage. I just got hit in November. I spent more on fixing than I actually lost in product. I'm ready to do delivery. You don't understand. Like, I'm ready, and no overhead. Security for my business alone is $9,900 a month. My rent and utilities is $13,000. My payroll is anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 a month. Now my 99 for my security is every day. That's a month, so 23 plus my staff. So we're looking at 63,000 just on staff, security, rent, and utilities. That ain't got nothing to do with buying product. That ain't got nothing to do with sundries for the store, tissue paper. None. I don't got to do with none of that. Come on, man. I'm so happy to do delivery. I don't got to worry about 60,000. I can cut off my income. You know what I mean? You got different staff you got to deal with, and the problems that come along with staff, and I'm free, so I'm happy to say the least.
Yeah, I gotta congratulate you on the pivot. I mean, that's the thing, being able to figure out how to do what you love, pulling it all together, and also just your journey of being able to find, like, I really believe, for as many people that are out there that you have to keep your eyes out for, there's so many great people that this has brought together. And
Yeah,
I'm really grateful for that.
Hell yeah. And that's why I believe in the positivity and try to not be negative for long.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, it is what it is. Let's figure out look for the positive somehow, some way. I wouldn't have made it if I hadn't got snitched on. You know what I'm saying? Like, my son, he's sitting out here with me now. I wouldn't have met his mom had I never got snitched on. Period. It wouldn't have happened. I met his mom before, but my eyes weren't on her and her eyes weren't on me. The only way that they got on her was I went, remember that welfare office I told you I had to go work at because I was on probation? That's where I met my wife. Had I never got caught up, I'd have never met my wife. You understand me?
Yeah.
Like, I know what weed has done for me. Period. So it's crazy how the stuff come full circle. I was talking about them. I was talking to my kids about it, but just telling them I don't think they realize, like, y'all know, had I never got snitched on, I'd never met Kim. Because I was on a whole nother trajectory to go do my probation stuff. And I got snitched on. I couldn't work there being on probation. They transferred me to the office, and maybe, I don't know, my son was 3 months when I met Kim. I got transferred there in August, and she came walking in September. And when she came in, I seen her. I'm like, damn, she bad. But she was talking to one of my cousins. My cousin was in there. He ain't on welfare. He was on welfare. They was both in there doing something they had no business doing, but that ain't got nothing to do with me. But he was in there, and I called him. I said, hey, bro, what's up with her? He like, man, she cool. That's at Wiener folks. I'm like, all right, you ain't talking to her, ain't nobody in the hood? He's like, no, she cool, bro. She actually really, really cool. I'm like, all right, cool. Hung up. I didn't say nothing to her. I waited. Man, about 2 weeks later, she came back in. I'm at the front desk, and I give out the numbers for people to go wherever department they're going to. She needed mail. She didn't know I was the mail person too. So I gave her number. She went and sat down. I went out the counter, hopped over the other counter, and hit the button. Ding! I called my other homeboy. I said, bro, you remember that girl I was telling you about a couple weeks ago? He like, yeah. I'm like, she's gonna walk up over here right now. So I'm on the phone with him. She walk up. It's like, I need my mail. I'm like, well, bro, this girl in front of me, she bad. She blushing. She like, what is this fool talking about? I said, let me call you back. I hang up. I said, if you give me your number, I'll give you your mail. She was like, I ain't giving you my number. So she gave me her information. I'm looking her up. I see she got 2 kids. One of them is sitting right next to me. I see she got 2 kids. I'm like, I'm reading her case. I'm like, okay, she mad at her baby daddy, so she filed child support on him. All right, whatever. I'm like, man, you give me your number, I'll give you your mail. She was like, all right, whatever. Gave me her number. I gave her her mail. Before she could even get out the building, I called her. She answered the phone. I said, this is me. Lock me in. And I've been locked in her phone ever since. I wouldn't have been able to do that had I never called my case.
The world is weird, isn't it?
Come on now. Like, you can't write that. Like, it was meant for me to be with her. It was meant for me to have kids with her. I ended up finding out I had another kid that I didn't even know about because I met her. You understand me? Like, it gets deep. Like, I had a son that the girl was pregnant. I seen her while she was pregnant. I said, hey, is that mine? She said, no, it ain't yours, because she thought I was poor. So she said the richest guy was the baby daddy. I'm not going to beg you for that kid to be mine. No problem. It ain't mine. All right, say less. We find out 8 years later. I get with my wife. We together. Maybe we not. I don't even think we might have been official. Maybe 2-3 months. We at the friend house. Remember when I said I called my friend that was in the welfare office, and he said, "Oh, that's her friend." We at that girl's house. I'm like, man, I know this house. I've been here before. She like, Fonzo, I do know you. I used to talk to her god sister. Her god sister was the one who had the baby. My Heavenly Father didn't want me to know I had a baby when I first asked her, was that my baby? Because I was supposed to meet Kim. Once I met Kim, he allowed me to know I had another kid. It almost broke me and her up. But I'm like, dude, I didn't know you. I didn't know nothing. Like, that's my kid. It is what it is. But that's what happened. That's how deep this shit gets with me for weed and what it's done for my life. I have a grandson, 2 grandsons. One of them is by this one that I know nothing. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have known nothing about him had it not been for Kim. Had it not been for me catching my case, had it not been for me being transferred to the welfare office. Weed is what keeps me here. Weed is how I buy everything that I do in my life. Weed is how I take care of my kids. Yeah, I had a job. Like I told you, the job was to take care of other shit.
Right.
Weed take care of my household. If I didn't sell weed, I couldn't work enough. I could not work enough hours in a day to cover all my expenses. I put it like that. There's no job I could do to cover all my expenses. But I didn't just sell weed. Like I said, I detailed cars. I threw parties. I rapped. It was all, I always figured out a way to make other money because I knew my 9 to 5 was a guarantee. Because I'm going to get up and go get my money. I'm going to go get my 9 to 5 and I'm going to make money while I'm there because I'm selling product to all my coworkers.
If you could bottle your energy, Tucky, you'd be a billionaire.
And it's life I've been living. So that's why I can't let nothing that happens get me down. I just got to deal with it. And like you said, pivot. That just is what it is. It's a third pivot. You know what I'm saying? In the legal space I've had to make. But I think this is a good one. When I first opened, I didn't want to open a delivery. When I first opened, I have access to a delivery license by having a retail license. I didn't want a delivery. So I felt like they were going to be the target. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want the delivery drivers, but I'm back delivering. So,
you know, you're a wise man. You've learned from everything. You've gleaned goodness from everything that you've done. And that's the name of the game. And
period.
And you know, kudos on the pivot. And when we're looking into the future, besides your exciting delivery business that you're going to be doing, what are other things that you're excited and hopeful about?
Speaking engagements. I'm working on a book now. Matter of fact, I need to call my writer. But working on a book now, so I've taken my notes. Remember we talked about subject matter experts and all these people that got failed businesses that are doing keynote speaking?
Yeah.
I want to be a keynote speaker. There's money. I can get $40,000 for an appearance. So that's what I'm trying to work on, getting the book together. Because when you got a book, it shows, you know, you could be a subject matter expert. So working on that. I still do consulting and teaching. So I'm definitely excited about doing that. I try not to take too many students at once, but I do like 4 students at a time every quarter. We just bought our first home, so I'm happy about that.
Congratulations.
And thank you. I'm just excited that I got a new outlook and still was able to have my brand. So full disclosure, 2 years ago when I was going through the stuff with the previous partner, the city was like, you know, basically your LLC is linked to your license. So if you got debt on your LLC and you want to like bankrupt or anything like that, you lose the LLC. They weren't giving out secondary licenses. I kind of like had to make them give me a license. Like, look, y'all know what happened to me. Y'all know who the players were. I can prove that they was fraudulent and I had nothing to do with it. I need help. I need to be able to have another license. They're like, well, you know what, Tucky, delivery is the easiest to get. Apply for a delivery license. I said, but what if I want to open my retail later on down the line? It's like, we'll grant you that. We'll allow you, because they can't have Blunts and More, the first equity dispensary, be gone. That's not going to look good for Oakland. So I'm like, look, how do we figure out a way to still keep me around, but not have me in that location? And they granted me another license. So I'm able to get that license. And then whenever I do choose, if I choose to open up a dispensary, then I can. But between me, you, and everyone listening, I don't really plan on opening no more dispensaries in Oakland. What I will do is have my delivery, have an event space, and then deliver to the event space or have events at the space. But having a brick and mortar is not for me right now. If people want to partner that are listening, if you're in another state and you want to partner and you have a license and you want to make your store Blunts and More, we can do that. I have the easiest franchise option ever. I want $125,000 one time. That gives me $100,000 after taxes and 3% of gross. That's it. I don't want to own it. I'll come do pop-ups and all that stuff. I'll give you the full range of all our SOPs and everything, all the orange, all my connections, all the vendors, everything. 3% of gross and a one-time franchise fee of $125,000. That's all I want. I think that's pretty cool because if I do 10 stores at 3% and you doing at least 3 million, you do the math. I'm not greedy. I'm a hustler. So I'm like, if I get 3% of 10 stores at 3 million, it's 300. Man, all right. So yeah, I'm cool. So that's my franchise model.
I love it. Well, when I went into your store, I was just really you created a very special place. You created you created a safe place for people to feel seen, and I just really appreciate what you do, and I'm really excited to see what's going on with your delivery for people who want to keep in touch and stay tuned for the launch of your delivery business. How would they do that?
So if you ever been to our store, you're in our system and I have your phone number and or email. I will be sending text and emails to everyone very soon with a bunch of discount codes, launch information, just a bunch of different things about the delivery very soon. But if you're trying to reach me to talk about consulting or just anything in particular, find me on Instagram. Sorry, something in my eyes get on my nerves.
Oh, no
It's
worries.
eyelash. But find me on Instagram. It's at Tucky Blunt. I'm everywhere, but Tucky Blunt on Instagram is where you can reach me the fastest. If you go to that, so I have two inboxes. There's one inbox that I can see, and there's another inbox that I don't see unless I go to it. If you happen to go to that inbox, I still check that inbox once a week. If you're serious about anything you need me to do, ask me in the inbox. I'll confirm you're serious, and I'll give you my email. It's just I'm pretty simple because if I don't want to talk to you, I'll just block you. Pretty simple. From email and everything. But no, I'm pretty open. I'm looking for work right now actively. So I'm looking for consulting clients. I'm looking to do like voiceovers or just anything I can use my voice or my likeness or my presence to lend to. I'm down to do. Event hostings, whatever. I'm available for it all. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Awesome. And for our listeners out there, if you want to learn more about Tucky, there are some really great articles out there. There's also one on the Cannabis Trail website that talks about your journey.
Yes. It's crazy. Like I've literally, and I said this before too, I've literally recreated the things I was doing when I got arrested. I'm literally doing now. I throw events at Blunts and More. I've kicked off at least 45 businesses from Blunts and More since I've been open, like where they started in my parking lot as a pop-up, and now they got food trucks or restaurants, like at minimum 45 businesses. And I wasn't charging any vendors a dime to come to my store, nothing. Because for me, while they're getting whatever they're getting to eat, they're gonna come in the store and buy weed. Or if my people buy weed, they're gonna come to your thing. So it's all about a community to me. So for other people to see that like I didn't know you from Adam and came in the store. For other people to see that's a great thing. Like it's bigger than just selling weed for me. It's about a community. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to have a community. That's why the lounge said commune and consume. That's what we're supposed to do. That quote came up for me randomly just on a live one day. But that's how I am. You know what I mean? So it's just like I'm always looking for a way to get us together and smoke this weed, man. Like,
let's do it.
I wish we could have a joint now. Shit.
I know, me too. I was just thinking that. I was like, Tucky, when are we going to commune and consume?
We got to do it. We got to do it. I'm here and I'm ready. So all you listeners, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for sharing your platform again. I'm pretty easy. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people have caught me off guard where I don't want to be Tucky because I'm Tucky 24/7, but sometimes I just want to be Alfonso. So I just came from Hall of Flowers. I had my hood on the whole time. I didn't have on no Blunts and More stuff. I had on my hood. I'm just walking around, and not like I'm a celebrity like that, but sometimes I don't, want to talk about the cannabis industry all the time. You know what I'm saying? Come ask me about my wife and my kids and life in general outside of cannabis. So I have been getting a little bit to that. So I apologize to anybody in advance if you want to talk about weed and I don't want to talk about weed. So
I feel that you got to have the balance.
Yes.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you came on today. It's,
thank you.
We had like a brief pass through when I came through the store, and it was a pleasure connecting with you then, but to really get to sit down with you and talk is a treat. And
thank you.
I'm just really excited to see what you're going to be doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And I can't wait to have another conversation with you on the podcast once everything's up and running and we can do a recap.
Oh, I forgot. 420. If anyone is in the DC area, I will be at the National Cannabis Festival speaking in the psychedelics area. Shout out to my boy Reggie from Oakland High Fae. He invited me out last year, but it got rained out, so they had me come back this year. And I always speak at his panel. Shout out Reggie, super dope. Oakland High Fae, if y'all in the mushroom realm, super dope, super good products. But yeah, my next speaking engagement is 420. In DC. I'm actually going out there too. My son goes to Howard, so we're going to visit him too.
Oh, right on.
And then in May, I'll be on a show called Way Up with Angela Yee. And I'll be doing the Sway show again. I'm waiting to hear back from Breakfast Club. So I got some New York promo runs. Like I'm doing promo, but I don't technically have a business, but it's about the brand. I'm a brand, so I have to. This is marketing. Like me, like people don't understand all my trips and all my podcasts, all the stuff I've been on. I pay for out of my own pocket because I know the value of going on these trips on your own. Now, when I get to the stage where people are flying me out, that's what I'm trying to get to. That's what I'm working on. I'm working on that now.
Yeah. Oh, well, with everything that you've done, I know we're going to be seeing you on the big stage doing all sorts of awesome shit.
I'm trying. But people don't realize, I'm going to tell y'all a secret. I could do a whole 2-hour like Tuck Talk off one topic. Like I have so many topics on my Tuck Talk list, and I could just pick one and talk for 2 hours about it, and you won't hear the same thing twice. So it's like, yeah, no, it's time to take this show on the road. And actually, I've sat in enough of these rooms to see that a lot of people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're just getting paid to talk about absolutely nothing. I don't want to do that with people. I want to actually give you guys something that you can actually use in this space. So
you've dropped some serious wisdom today for our listeners.
Thank you.
Thank you so
much. Thank you.
And everyone, remember, if you like listening, please give us a review, share it with a friend. Let us know what your favorite episodes are. And if you'd like to stay in touch over social media, we are Planted with Sarah Pion on Facebook and Planted with Sarah on Instagram and Twitter. You can also go to our website, www.plantedwithsarah.com, or listen to us on our parent network, Radio Misfits Network, where there are other great podcasts, like one of my favorites, the Winemakers Podcast. So check it out. You can listen to Planted wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, whether that's Pandora, Spotify, Amazon, Google, Apple, Stitcher, TuneIn. We are there. So join us, and until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, it's a wild world out there. Be good to one another. Until next time, take care.